The Mummy. This is the story from 1995. Max lives in Chicago City. He used to work in a famous museum in Chicago. One day, Max is talking with his assistant Sheldon. A white coffin is out in front of them. "Sheldon, this mummy is from Egypt. It is said that it is 1,000 years old. It was a very dangerous king. It is said that this king buried 100 people alive into the walls of his tomb. Sir, I have also heard that while he was dying, this king told his people that he will definitely return and rule his kingdom." "What? Even after death?" What an arrogant king he was. I think he let fame go to his head. "Yes, you're probably right, sir. Maybe with him here, our museum will become famous too?" "Yes, that's the idea. Tomorrow I will ask the boss about where to display it. It's time to close the museum. Let's finish our work." "Okay, sir. We will decide on the new mummy display tomorrow. Let's go finish the delivery paperwork." Max and Sheldon go back to their office to finish some paperwork. But as they leave the room, the coffin begins to make a scraping sound. His eyes open, blood red and dark and scary. He breaks the white coffin in pieces and stands up, stammering towards the door, as though searching every room to escape his tormented death. Until he found a way out of the museum. "Sheldon, you lock up tonight. I'm going to head home." "Okay, sir." Max leaves the building. Sheldon locks every door. But as he passes by the mummy room, he sees the shattered pieces of the coffin, and the mummy is nowhere to be seen. A trail of bloody footprints lead from room to room in the museum. Whose bloody tracks are these? A look of realization crosses Sheldon's face. His eyes widen with fear. "Something must be wrong. Something is wrong. Oh no! The mummy must be alive. These are his footprints." He follows the footprints to the middle of the snow-covered parking lot. "Oh no! No! Max's car was parked right here. That means..." Sheldon is horrified and calls Max immediately. Max picks up the phone. Sheldon asks nervously, "Sir, where are you, sir?" "What's the matter, Sheldon?" "I'm on Baker Street." "But why are you so nervous?" "Sir, the mummy's not in his box." "Not in the box? Then where? Where are you? What are you talking about, Sheldon?" "No, sir, you don't understand what I'm saying." "I sure don't, Sheldon. I'll call you from home." "Sir, at least listen to me." Then the mummy sits up in the back of Max's car. His eyes are bloody. The whole body is covered in bandages. Max screams when he sees him. "You're right, Sheldon. He's in my car." Max loses control of his car and crashes into a tree. "Sir, I'm coming there right now." Sheldon ran back into the museum to get his keys, but also grabs a can of salt in his office. Then he runs to his car. Max is badly injured. His head is bleeding. When he gets up slowly and looks back nervously, there is no one there. He opens the door and starts limping and running. Then the mummy comes in front of him. Max is horrified. He picks up a stick and slams it across the mummy's face, but the mummy barely moves, and the stick shatters to pieces. The mummy begins to slowly unwrap his body from the bandages. Max runs, but Mummy uses his bandages like a rope to snag Max's leg. "Save me! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Leave me! Leave me! Let me go!" Max collapses as he runs. He starts to beg for his life. "No, no, 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 no! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Leave me! Let me go!"
"Just as I proclaimed that I would return and not leave anyone alive, not anyone.
With supernatural power, Mummy flings his bandage rope over a tree branch and pulls Max up into the air. The Mummy touches his hand to the tree, and branches reach out around Max, tying him tightly in the air. Blood from the Mummy's hands stained the tree red. Max is terrified. "Save me! Save me! Help! Help!" Another strip of cloth supernaturally wraps around Max's mouth, and he can no longer speak. Not far away, Sheldon is driving fast. The road is completely deserted. When he spots Baker Street, he sees that Max is tied in branches hanging from a tree, and the Mummy has set the tree on fire. Sheldon is determined to save his boss. He floors it, ramming his vehicle into the bandaged creature. The Mummy breaks into pieces, torn limb from limb, and he falls on the ground. Sheldon gets out of his damaged car and reaches Max. Sir, are you all right? Wait, I'll get you down." "You're just in time, Sheldon. That thing was about to kill me." Then, Mummy's scattered pieces on the ground start connecting. Sheldon is shocked to see this. Mummy becomes even more terrible after joining all the parts. "Get out now, sir! We don't have time!" The Mummy rises up behind Sheldon and grabs his neck, breaking bones. Max struggles to get out, but Mummy walks in front of him. Max shakes in fear. Mummy removes the bandage from his body, and the bandages reach around Max, wrapping more and more, pressing on his neck, his arms. Sheldon lays on the ground, stunned, unable to stand, but he remembers the salt that he inexplicably grabbed from his office. He grabs the bag and throws it at the Mummy. The Mummy screams in agony as his body is burned by the salt. Then his bandages catch fire and the Mummy shrinks into the ground. Sheldon takes Max out. Sir, are you all right?" "Yes, I'm fine, Sheldon. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come." "Sir, what do we do with this Mummy? We can't leave it like this." "Send it back where it came from. We don't want it in our city. And remember, don't tell this incident to anyone. I don't want people to hear anything bad about our museum." Later, some people are taking Mummy's box out of the museum. Max and Sheldon see Mummy was getting moved by some people. Then Max asks, "Sheldon, how did you get the idea to spray salt on this Mummy?" "Sir, I saw it in a movie. I thought I would try it, and it was a good try, sir. Our lives were saved." "I'm thinking what would have happened if you hadn't seen that film." "I don't know, sir, what would have happened then." Both of them look at each other and take a sigh of relief when they see the Mummy going. A few years later, two people are opening Mummy's box and placing it in a new museum. That's when the Mummy's eyes open. The end. The Jinn. This story is from 1926. Both my parents had died in an accident. And I used to live in Baghdad with my grandmother Sabina. I wanted to know how my parents died. But my grandmother would always give me an excuse. Even when I entered 8th grade, when I was 15. "Granny, now I have to go to another village to study. Bless me."
"Yes, son. Study hard and make progress. Which way will you go to school?"
"Granny, I will go by the trail which is near the pond outside the village."
"Trail? The walkway along with that pond? No, don't go near that pond."
"But why, Granny?"
"I don't have to answer that. If I say no, then the answer is no. Do not go near that pond."
That day, my grandmother refused to let me go near that pond, but I just had it stuck in my mind. Then I decided I would go to school that way. Eventually, I made two good friends. Afreen and Hamza. All three of us used to go to school on that path beside that pond.
You know what, Omar? My mother says that a genie lived near this pond. Many years ago, he ate many people. Later, he was seized in a small pot and thrown in this lake.
No way, Afreen. Maybe that's why Grandma always forbids me to come here. But I still think this is a very quiet place. My friends and I continued to talk as we walked, until Afreen noticed two black eyes staring at us from the pond water. Afreen saw it first, staring back at her. She turned away, afraid.
Who's there? Who is that?
No one is there, Afreen. You must have just seen your own reflection in the water. Just then, ahead on the path, we saw a woman crying. She was sitting there in torn clothes with a bucket, crying out loud. Hey, why is she crying?
Omar, don't go near her. We don't know who she is. I'm already freaked out, and it's getting dark. Let's get out of here and go home.
How can you talk like that? Afreen, you're such a scaredy cat. We're both with you. Then, all three of us approached the crying woman. Why are you crying?
I won't be able to catch a single fish today. The little money which I had also fallen in that pond. Now, what shall I tell my boss? My children will die of hunger, so I will die here first by jumping in this pond.
No, please don't do this. Tell me, where have you lost your money? I'll get it out of the pond and we'll help you with some fishing.
What are you talking about, Omar? The darkness is rising. And remember, Granny told you not to go inside the pond. This doesn't feel right. Let's get out of here.
Stand here and shut up. Nothing will happen. I will not go home without helping this lady. But we didn't know the two eyes were watching us. Just out of view, there was a slight movement in the pond water. A strange shadow that slowly rose up to the surface. At first, it appeared like a snake, then suddenly turned into a lizard. It changed its form over and over. Afreen looked back and saw nothing again.
I'm not feeling right about anything here, Omar and Hamza. Let's go from here.
Keep standing silently. I'm gonna go to the pond. I took off my shirt and my shoes and dove into the water. But the water moved like waves, and like I was just handed a small pot right into my hand. Hey, what is this? A pot? It looks kind of nice. I'll take it home. I found the woman's coins in the same spot underwater and gave them back to the old woman and got her fishing again. I showed my friends the pot, but as soon as the woman saw it, her eyes turned red and she started laughing out loud. Strong winds started moving all around, and there was a sudden stir in the water of the pond. Look!
You found the pot. After 200 years, and find this pot today. I knew you would do this job. Now, give me this pot.
200 years later? What are you talking about? Anyway, this pot is mine. I've taken it out of the pond. I will not return it.
I told you something was wrong here, didn't I? Now let's run away from here.
The three of us began to run away. Then that old woman suddenly took the form of a dog, and she started running after us. Her eyes were so scary. Then suddenly, wings started to grow on her, and she turned into an enormous hawk and snatched the pot right out of my hands while we were running.
Enough with your running. Now the pot is mine today. After 200 years, I will finally meet the genie once again. I just had to be really, really patient.
After saying all of that, she turned back into a woman and opened the lid of the pot. As soon as the pot was opened, strong smoke spewed out of it and surrounded us. A very big blue man appeared, whose upper body was partially visible and the lower body was like a snake's smoky tail.
Wow. Today I got my freedom after 200 years. Now I will rule the earth.
He noticed the woman and flew towards her, entering her mind and taking her over. Fire came out of her mouth. Her teeth grew sharp, and she started laughing out loud. Her legs turned into a snake's tail. We were terrified, and we all started running back along the path, but the genie ran faster than us and caught my leg and threw acid on my face and mouth. No! Leave me alone! Then Jinn entered my body. Things like snakes' tongues came out of my mouth like tentacles. My eyes turned red and it started raining. My pals, Afreen and Hamza, very quickly ran away from there. I reached my grandmother's house and told her everything.
Why has this happened? Oh, why did he go there against my wishes? My children! That was a genie. That genie ate Omar's parents. That's why I told you that you couldn't go there.
What is a genie, Granny?
A genie can take any form. There are good ones, but most are bad. They can enter into any animal or human being and become like them. They have 3 different types that come in different colors. They can run at speeds of 15 to 18 miles per hour and carry a weight ranging from 20 pounds to 200 pounds. Sometimes they can take shape of a creature with wings, and other times, like dogs and snakes, can see genies and are always their friends. So that means our Omar will never recover now? There's a guy there named Hatim that might have a solution. You two run off home, children.
So that's what my grandma did. She went and found a man named Hatim Baba. Hatim's room has magical potions all around. He had magical animals stuffed on his wall, and swirling smoky powers were in the room. Come!
Genie has taken my boy.
Oh, don't say another word to me. I know everything. Why did those children go to the pond? Now that pot has been opened after 200 years, now everywhere will be doom. I will get Omar here, but remember, today that genie will take the sacrifice of somebody's life. Hatim started chanting aloud and put more wood on the fire. In a short time, Omar, that was me, who has now become the genie, came there. At this point, I was very large, with wings and eyes completely red. As soon as I came into Hatim's room, the whole room was filled with a red light. Why have you come out of your pot? What has this child done to you? Leave him alone. It's cramped in there. I will stay here until I find another home. And will destroy this whole world. Hatim kept on chanting aloud. In a short time, a big fight started between his powers and the powers of the genie. The genie came out of me. In order to fight Hatim, he looked like a snake. Why you remove me from Omar's body? Now I will enter into this old lady. And before Hatim could do anything, the genie used his evil powers to enter into my granny's body. Nanny fell down in anguish. I was sad. Hatim started to capture the genie into a teapot. Leave this old lady, or I will have to imprison you in this pot. No! What are you doing? Do not tie me to that pot. I will leave this old lady. I will do whatever you say. You become my master from now on. But Hatim continued to recite the chant continuously, and the genie slowly came out of Granny's body and was sucked into the pot like smoke. Then
my grandmother died. Your grandmother is dead, Omar. There's no use crying now. You should have obeyed her. Now you too, go away from here. I've never forgotten that, Genie. And I realize that because of my mistake, my grandmother left this world. The world of the Jinn is very dangerous. The end.
The Hook Man. This is a story from 1956. It takes place in a small town in America where Sophie and her boyfriend, Henry, lived. They both loved each other very much and spent every moment they could together. One day, after coming home from college, Henry went to meet Sophia at her house and told her,
Sophia, today my dad's left his car at home, and he's gone out of town for a business trip. You gotta make up some excuse tonight so we can take the car for a long drive together.
Okay, I will.
Sophia and Henry were driving near a forest. Music is playing on the radio. Suddenly, a man appears in front of them. The man didn't have a hand, but rather a steel hook for his hand. The man was standing there, dressed in a black cloak, and looked like a black shadow. Sophia screams upon seeing the man, and Henry immediately slams on the car's brakes. The both of them are greatly scared.
Are you all right, Sophia?
Yes, I'm fine, Henry. But who was that man?
I have no idea. He was standing in the middle of the road. You wait here, I'll go and take a look.
No, let it go, Henry. Let's leave this place. We shouldn't stop here.
Okay, let's go.
Henry parks his vehicle near the forest, and romantic music is playing on the radio.
What is this, Henry? Why did you park here?
Oh, so we could have a good time together.
Henry takes Sophia's hand and gets close to her. As they embrace, there is a loud noise over their car, as if someone has beaten a hammer on it. There's a sound of scratching. Sophia covers her ears and says,
What's happening, Henry? Let's get out of here.
Strangely, the car will not start when Henry tries to start it. He attempts to try and start the car 2 or 3 more times. Finally, it starts, and Henry puts the pedal to the metal and tears out of there with wheels screeching against the pavement. The young couple hears an announcement on the radio in the midst of the fearful silence.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to give you a news. We have just come to learn that the Hook Man has once again returned to the city, and he is preying on local youth as his victims. So take care and be cautious.
On hearing the announcement, Sophie was clearly shaken. Fear was clearly evident on her face. Henry asks her,
What happened, Sophia? Who is this Hook Man, and why did you begin shivering as soon as you heard his name?
You don't know, Henry. You came to this city a few years ago. 10 years ago, in 1946, my aunt's daughter Anna and her boyfriend went on a hike. They camped on the hill by themselves and set up a tent. As they both went to the tent, Anna heard a voice, and she was a little scared. When both of them saw the shape outside, a man was standing in front of their tent, very scary and evil looking. His hand nails were long, his eyes were an eerie red, and one of his hands was made up of a steel hook.
I will not let the 2 of you go, or you will kill every loving couple.
Anna's boyfriend got angry after hearing this, and he attacked the Hookman. But Hookman stabbed him in his neck and hooked him in the face, and the boyfriend died on the spot. Anna was running away from him when Hookman hit Anna's neck and punches her and stabs her in the face. My sister fainted, and when she came to her senses, she returned to the house injured. After all this, she's not been able to recover for dating
She stays in her room, neither talks to anyone, nor does she agree to ever get married.
But who is this Hook Man, and why would he do this?
Such incidences were increasing rapidly in the city. Couples were murdered every day. We don't understand who the Hook Man is, why he was doing this, and to this very day, we've not been able to figure out who he is.
Sophia is telling Henry all this, and suddenly his vehicle is attacked again, as if someone is hitting the vehicle with a hammer.
Henry, hurry up. Let's go to my house.
Then Hookman broke the glass of the car with his hook. The lava of blood dripping from his red eyes, his pointed teeth, and his terrible face. He dragged Sophia out of the car with the hook. Henry quickly tried to strike Hookman by getting out of the car. But Hookman strikes with his hook on the young man's face, and Henry's face turns red with blood. He starts screaming in pain, and he dies. Sophia runs off to save her life.
I will not let anyone live. I will surely not let anyone live. I will kill everyone in this city, and no one will be able to succeed in love. Nobody.
Sophia runs away to her Uncle John. Her uncle is a paranormal activist. She tells them the whole story.
Why has he come back? Uncle, why does he want to kill everyone? He killed Henry too. I'm so scared.
My dear, first of all, you should drink some water. I know what happened to Anna, and now it has come back, which means all of you youngins are in danger now.
But why is he killing all of the young people?
It's said that 50 years ago, a boy named Kevin Hook lived in this city. He was a blacksmith. Kevin loved the girl, but he could not marry that girl, for the girl's father was very rich. They broke Kevin's love with his money, and to keep Kevin away from his daughter, he cut off one of Kevin's hands and beat him severely. Kevin nearly died. It is said that he made the hook for himself and applied it to his own hand. Now he kills every loving couple and comes to this city every 10 years and does the hunting, and everyone calls him Hook Man.
Uncle, I have to avenge Henry's death with this Hook Man. He has also ruined my sister. I will not leave him be. Please help me.
Okay, I'll help you. Sophia stands near the forest with her friend Peter and is waiting for Hookman. Sophia, I am so scared. What if Hookman kills me?
Nothing will happen. Have faith.
Sophia hugs Peter, and suddenly strong winds blow mightily through the forest. Sophia sees Hookman standing in front of her, the blood dripping from his hook, and blood raging in his eyes.
I said I'd kill every lover.
Hookman reaches out his hand and grabs Peter's leg with the hook and hangs him on a tree.
I will not leave anyone, not leave anymore.
Hookman reaches with the other hand and lifts Sophia by the neck. Sophia suffocates, and at the same time, Uncle John, who was hidden behind a tree, appeared, and he put a locket around Hookman's neck. Hookman's strength started to decrease. He started to groan loudly. His hook fell off from his hand, and he slowly disappeared into the air. And thus, the end of Hookman.
The Bell Witch. This story begins in the year 1804. John Bell and his family lived in a house on 300 acres of land. It was famous in Adams, Tennessee. They were living happily. But after 10 years had passed, something happened in 1817 that was such a turning point that it changed their life forever. One evening, John Bell came to his daughter Elizabeth's room and saw what she was doing, embroidering.
Elizabeth, are you not asleep yet, my dear daughter?
Yes, Papa. I'm just going to sleep now.
Elizabeth lays down on her bed, and John covers her with a bedsheet, and he is about to extinguish the candle.
No, Papa. Let the candle be, please. I'm afraid of the dark.
You were never afraid of the dark before. What happened, Elizabeth?
I can't really explain it, Papa, but sometimes I feel a strange fear in my heart.
Oh, we'll talk about this tomorrow. You go get some sleep now.
Elizabeth is sleeping with a bedsheet covering her. Suddenly, strong winds start blowing, and lightning streaks. The sound of a creaking door, opening ever so slowly, reached her ears, and it seemed that a shadow was standing at Elizabeth's feet, her long, wild hair flying. Her eyes are just visible, and she slowly pulled down Elizabeth's bedsheet from her face. Elizabeth pulls up the bedsheet again. The dark figure pulls the bedsheet off her. At this, finally Elizabeth opens her eyes, and as she wakes up, the witch starts flying round in the air. Upon seeing this, Elizabeth cries out in fear.
Papa! Papa! Save me, Papa!
John ran and came through the open door.
What happened, Elizabeth? Did you have a nightmare?
Elizabeth had lost her voice. All she could do was just stare upwards and think of that horrible incident that she could not get out of her mind's eye.
Papa, can I sleep in your room, please? I don't want to sleep here.
Okay, dear, but we will not disturb Mummy. I will sleep here with you. Mummy's health is not feeling well.
The next day, Elizabeth's mother, Frida, was drying the clothes outside when Elizabeth arrived.
Dear Eliza, did you have a nightmare yesterday? No, Mother. It was all true. You think I'm lying, but everything really did happen. Okay, dear, you go to your room. I'll prepare lunch and let you know when it's ready.
Elizabeth leaves to go to her room. Frida is coming inside the house after drying clothes. When the witch sees Frida going into the house, she quickly flies towards her, and all the clothes fall to the ground. When Frida looks back, the witch is standing in front of her. The cruel-hearted witch attacks the poor woman and scratches at Frida's arms while kicking her. Frida crumples to the ground in defeat. Elizabeth hurriedly comes to her mother's aid and sees that the witch is holding Frida's throat and raising her in the air. Elizabeth is terrified at this horrible sight.
Mother! Leave my mother! Go away from here, you vile creature!
I will not leave anyone alone, not one. I will kill everyone. I will come again. And this time I will kill each and every last one of you.
Then the witch disappeared. The shaken mother and daughter start crying, and John arrives on the scene. He's frightened upon seeing the condition of his family.
We have to do something about this. I can't see my family like this. I will now write a letter to my friend Jackson. He is a paranormal activist, and he will help us. Till then, we will stick together.
At night, John and his family are sitting together, John holding a cross in his hands and guarding Frida and Elizabeth. All of a sudden, a voice reaches his ears.
John, save me, John.
He feels that voice is of Frida. Then, that voice becomes the voice of Elizabeth.
Father! Save me, Father!
John sees Elizabeth and Frida sleeping. He realizes that the witch has arrived there. John hears a heavy, world-shattering scream. It was so intense that the cross falls from his hands, clattering to the floor. As a chair comes flying across the cross and falls onto it, John starts looking for the cross. At the same time, he hears the sound of screaming. When he looks back, the evil witch is slapping Elizabeth senseless.
Leave my family be. Let them go.
That's when Jackson enters the scene, and he shows the witch the cross. Upon beholding the cross, the witch hides within a conjured cloud.
Why are you here? Why are you harassing John's family?
The witch angrily looks at John and grabs Frida's hair and drags her away.
Ask me who I am, John. Don't you recognize me, John? Don't you know who I am? I'm Cat Bats, whom you killed 10 years ago. For so many years, I've been yearning for revenge. Now my strength has increased, and I will not leave anyone alone. I will destroy this entire family. If he tries to save his family, then John must die. Must die. I will destroy the whole family.
Everyone is surprised by this. John is shocked and suddenly starts crying.
Who was Cat? John, tell us who was Cat. Cat was our neighbor, and out of 300 acres that we owned, 200 acres were her land. At that time, my family didn't move into this home. My eyes were on Cat's land. I went to talk with her one day. She refused to give me the land, and my ego was hurt. So one night I murdered her and took all of her land.
Papa, I had no idea you were such a wicked-hearted, conniving man. I'm ashamed of you.
The witch wants revenge. The only way she'll be appeased is by John's death. Otherwise, she'll continue to haunt and torture this family like this.
Suddenly, all the candles start extinguishing. Once again, the witch, with rage in her eyes, makes her presence known. Going to Elizabeth and Frida, she grabs each of them by their respective throats and lifts them violently into the air.
What do you think, John? Want to see the death of your entire family in front of your eyes?
John is shocked and moves slowly and takes the knife which is on the table and stabs himself. Obviously satisfied, the witch releases the poor mother and daughter and disappears from there. Elizabeth and Frida run to John's side, weeping.
Forgive me, if you can.
The end.
Ghost Under the Bed. This story is from the 1980s. A dad named Alex works his job just outside his hometown, London. He's looking for a house for rent for his wife Daisy and their 15-year-old daughter Lucy. He hears of a house they can afford to rent, and he takes Daisy and Lucy to that home to show them. Daisy, this house is good for you and for Lucy. There's security here, and it's not far from the grocery store, and I can drive to work and come home. I like the place.
Yes, Alex. Both of us will be comfortable here. Don't worry at all. You just concentrate on your work.
In one room of that house, there is a bed. Daisy checks all the house, but she does not see any furniture other than that single bed. She asks broker Max,
Why is this bed kept here? There's no other furniture here. We already have a bed. We do not want this bed.
Madam, when the landlord of this house, Thomas, was relocating, he left this bed here. You can use this bed if you want. Okay, we'll use it, but I would like to buy a new mattress for this bed. Okay, sir. Then you can rent the place next month. Once they rent the place, Alex goes out of town for his work, and Daisy and Lucy work on getting the place cleaned up. After some time, Lucy comes to Daisy.
Mommy, I will sleep on this bed. I like this bed, and it's very beautiful. Okay, Lucy, you can sleep on it.
Lucy was very happy with her new house and her bed, until late at night when she heard a voice calling her.
Lucy.
Lucy wakes, and she lights the lamp, but there's no one in the room. Lucy falls asleep again. After some time, the lamp burns itself out. She lights it again, but it burns out again.
Mommy, someone is calling me last night in my room. Don't be silly. You must have dreamed that, Lucy. Mommy, please sleep with me in my room tonight. Well, okay.
Later, Lucy is studying in her room, and she again hears the creepy voice.
Lucy.
Lucy looks around the room and turns her attention towards the bed.
Lucy.
The sound is coming from under my bed.
Lucy looks slowly under the bed, but no one is there. The moment she turns away from the bed, she hears the voice again. She immediately turned back and looked under the bed and saw a frightening, shadowy figure. Then Lucy ran from the bed, screaming. She could not run fast enough. Long arms came from beneath the bed and grabs her. She screams as she is dragged backwards.
Mommy! Mommy! Save me, Mommy!
Then Daisy came into the room.
What happened, Lucy? What happened? Why are you crying? Mommy, there's someone under my bed, Mommy!
Under the bed?
When Daisy looks under the bed, no one is there.
No one is here, dear.
Mommy, I saw someone, believe me!
There's no one here, dear. You just need to calm down.
Lucy is very frightened by this incident, but with her mother there, she calms down, and her mother agrees to sleep in the room with her to prove there is no one under the bed.
Lucy.
When Lucy lights up the lamp and looks under the bed, a terrible soul is looking at her. She screams loudly and then faints. Daisy wakes up and tries to waken Lucy.
Get up, Lucy. Lucy, what happened to you? Wake up, dearie.
Lucy's eyes open, but she's not saying anything at all. She was completely silent and just sits in the room all day long, not even going to eat. Daisy worries about Lucy. Daisy calls Max, the broker, to come over immediately. She met him outside in the garden.
Was there an incident in this house? Look, do not lie. You do not know the condition of my baby girl. There is something wrong with that room.
Meanwhile, Lucy is sitting silently in her room, and again she hears a voice.
Lucy. Lucy.
Lucy stands up. The room door automatically closes. Just then, a soul comes out from under the bed, and the room is filled with its strange darkness. That soul was a ghost. She had a terrible face. She had long hands that lifted her up into the air.
Come, Lucy. This world is not for you. Come with me.
That ghost turns towards the lamp, and it bursts into pieces, the glass falling onto the floor. The ghost looks into Lucy's eyes and takes control of her. Lucy starts walking on those glass pieces. All the while, Daisy is outside, questioning the broker. I don't know about the accident personally, madame, but yes, people do tell ghost stories about this place. The landlord of the house, Thomas, had a 20-year-old daughter named Hazel. She used to stay sick all the time. Her mental condition was not good. People say that she was suicidal. Every day she used to find some way to try to kill herself. She used to tell others to commit suicide along with her. Seeing all this, his family kept her tied to her bed to keep her safe, and they did not tell this to anyone. But one night she killed herself by hitting her head on the bed. And after that, one by one, all of Thomas's family also committed suicide. Only Thomas survived, and he left. But who knows how much of this gossip is true or not?
Oh no! I left my girl in that room!
Daisy runs from the garden back to the house. When Daisy opens the door, she sees that Lucy is walking on the glass, and that she's under the ghost's control. Daisy is terrified.
Lucy, my baby girl! Leave my girl alone!
That evil ghost looks at Daisy and by levitating all the pieces of glass into the air, throws it towards Daisy. Daisy gets badly injured.
Lucy, you come with me. You know what to do.
Lucy comes forward to fly from the window. Injured, Daisy grabs her feet, and the ghost grabs Daisy's hair and throws her.
No, Lucy, don't do it! Wake up!
Lucy jumps out of the window and she dies. The ghost starts laughing out loud.
Lucy. Well done, Lucy. I expected this from you.
Daisy's mental state gets unstable. Max runs upstairs and sees Daisy crying badly and Lucy is dead. He informs Alex, and Alex comes home and weeps badly.
He killed my daughter. My daughter also committed suicide. I should also die. Everyone should die.
That ghost is watching her. The end.
Ouija game. This is a story from the 1960s. A boy named Harry lived in Poland with his parents. He had 3 friends, Emma, George, and Luna. One day, Harry's parents went to their relative's house. Harry called his friends at home.
After how many days someone's house has been found empty, else the parents had stopped going anywhere?
Everyone laughs and sits on the couch.
Now tell me, what should we do? We all have all night ahead of us.
Let's play Truth or Dare.
What kind of game do you want to play? I have lots of games.
Which one?
Ouija game. I just got it. It looks like fun.
George removes Ouija game from his backpack. It is a dark board, cracked and creepy looking.
Where did you get this board, George? It belonged to my brother. I found it in his basement.
Yes, let's start playing. I don't know. Looks creepy.
Scaredy cat. It'll be fun.
The 4 friends each placed their left hands on the board and look at each other. Candles are burning all around. George begins reading by looking at the paper provided with the board.
If there is a soul around us, reveal yourself to us.
All their friends look at each other and are also nervous. George repeats the same statement.
If there is a soul around us, reveal yourself to us.
That's when they hear the sound of glass breaking. When they look at the front of the house, they see there is a broken window. Luna sounds very scared.
Looks like someone has heard our voice.
Soul, if you can hear us, answer our call.
Everyone looks towards the board game, and letters appear in the center of the board. Y-E-S. The children look at one another in terror.
I'm so scared, guys. We should stop this game.
No, the real game has just started. George, you should ask that soul something else.
George thinks for a moment, then asks,
What's your name?
They all look towards the board, but there is no answer.
I'm asking again, what is your name?
The previous letters disappear, and new letters reveal themselves. E-V-I-L.
Evil! Its name is Evil. This must be a demon. George, stop this game right now.
Suddenly, the candles all go out, and smoke fills the room. The 4 children start coughing.
George, what is happening? I'm very scared. We should stop this game right now.
Everyone removes their hands from the board and closes the box. The smoke slowly disappears.
Thank God everything is under control now. George, we survived narrowly today.
Yeah, man, you're right.
A shadowy figure stands up behind George. The 3 are horrified to see him.
Look behind you, George.
George looks back and screams. His arms and legs are very thin. His eyes are red and bloody. There are bruises on his head. The four tremble at seeing that shadow.
What happened? You children got scared of me. You guys have called me only. Do you know I was alive like you all? I used to breathe. And you know what I used to do? I used to burn down the small children to their death. Do you know why? Because I was insane. People knew me by the name of Evil Killer. One day, I died in a car accident. And since then, I am wandering in this world to hunt. Today, you have made my work easier by calling me back to this world.
George runs towards the board and starts reading the instructions.
We want to send you back. Go from here. Go!
Evil approaches him and breaks the board and takes the paper in his hand, and it crumbles into ash. George is horrified to see this.
I haven't come here just to be sent back into my prison. Understand?
Evil grabs George's neck, and his body begins to soak. Evil screams out loud. Emma, Harry, and Luna try to escape, but the fire flames engulf them from all sides.
Please, please leave us alone!
George suffocates, and his body starts to burn. George falls and is burnt, and is nothing more than a skeleton. Harry pours water on the door to extinguish the fire. But the flames do not go out. Instead, the flames become more hot. Evil creeps up to Harry and clings to his body.
That's enough, kid. Now you will not be able to escape from my flames.
Harry screams with pain. Evil made a mark on Harry's body. With his powers, started laughing. Then Luna and Emma come, and Emma takes the cross locket from her neck and puts it on Evil's forehead. Evil begins to suffer badly. He burns Harry badly in the fire, and Harry's body also becomes scorched in the fire.
Luna, run from here. I will stop him with this cross. But you, don't worry about me. You run from here.
Luna starts running away, and the evil attacks Luna instead of Emma. He pushes her from behind, and she falls into the fire at the door. And she started suffering from the flames. Emma has a cross in her hand, so as soon as evil starts to hurt her, he is in pain. He cannot do any harm to Emma.
I'll be back again.
Emma starts crying badly. The fire goes out. She is trembling badly. She opens the door and runs away from the house. The end. Dracula. This story is in the year 1930. Jack, along with his two brothers, Harry and Kevin, comes to Salem, which the small town that their grandmother lives in, for Christmas. One afternoon, the three were sitting in Grandma's house when Harry spoke up.
Come on, guys, let's go somewhere. Do something. This afternoon is so boring.
Yeah, man. Great idea. Let's go.
No, dude. I don't want to go. You both go. Jack, bro, Julie is coming to meet us. I talked with her this morning, but no problem if you don't want to come. Julie's coming? Then I'm game.
Harry and Kevin look at each other and laugh. Then they all go to meet Julie. Julie is his childhood friend, and Jack and Julie like each other very much.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. How about you? They are talking and wandering around the whole town. There's a cemetery a little closer to the forest, near where Jack spies a dilapidated, abandoned home.
Julie, tomorrow come meet me here in the evening. Seems like no one comes here, which would be great, because then we could hang out.
Julie smiles and says yes to Jack's invitation. The next evening, Jack and Julie return to the decrepit house to spend time together.
No one will disturb us here. This place is a wreck, and we can talk for hours and not disturb anybody.
Have you heard what folks say about this house? I heard that it's Dracula's home. 100 years ago, the terror of bats in this town had increased. Everywhere the bats kept flying and scratching and hurting people every day. One day, a man named Victor was returning to his home when he sees a black cat with blood-red eyes. Upon beholding this sight, he was struck with fear.
What an evil-looking creature. Looks nothing short of a pure, vile, evil, sinister monster.
Then suddenly, the cat comes near him and scratches his leg with its sharp claws as a bat simultaneously bites him, leaving a scar on his neck. Victor suddenly begins to feel very badly. Suddenly, his teeth start becoming pointed, and his finger and toenails begin growing.
What's happening to me? Maybe I should go home early today.
As Victor rushes to his house, his entire appearance has changed, and he discovers that he has transformed into a hideous, terrible Dracula. Suddenly, he feels an insatiable thirst for blood. He cannot control himself, and he drinks his wife's blood. But his thirst is still unquenched, so he also drinks the blood of his 3 innocent children. Dracula's terror in the town increases so much that people stop leaving their homes. Then, one night, Victor the Dracula writes on a hill with his own blood.
I will come again after 100 years.
After writing this message, he disappears into the dark and gloomy confines of his house.
Wow, what a dumb story.
Yes, it is! Now, it's not known whether it's real or not, but word around town is that now 100 years have passed and Dracula could wake up anytime.
Come on, Julie. Enough of these scary stories. It's too late to talk of such things. I'll see you again tomorrow, at the same time.
On the same night, the terror of bats again takes place in the small town. Angry squeaking from the bats, and in the midst of all this pain and chaos, Dracula's eyes open. The next evening, when Jack was leaving his house to meet Julie, Harry stops him.
Bro, you hardly spend any time with us because you're always with Julie. Today, why don't you just stay home and play with us here? I want to spend time with Julie. You guys do your own thing and leave me alone, understand? Okay, fine. So, why don't you just go live in that creepy shack of a house with Julie?
Jack is waiting for Julie at the same house as before.
It's taking way too long, and there's still no trace of Julie yet. I wonder what the holdup is.
Then he noticed a door that had some blood on it. Jack finds that strange. All of a sudden, pitch-black bats start flying over the house.
Whoa, this door leads to the Dracula's dungeon. But whose blood could this possibly be?
Jack slowly and cautiously made his way down the staircase and entered the dungeon. He peered warily around and saw 2 glittering eyes. These eyes approached him, and he soon realizes it's nothing but a cat. As Jack turned, he saw Julie's body hanging, with her blood dripping rhythmically to the dungeon's cold, hard floor.
Julie, what happened to you?
Jack is shocked at Julie's death.
Then he suddenly hears the sound of footsteps behind him. When he looks back fearfully, a terrible Dracula stands behind him. As Jack tries frantically to escape, Dracula flies to him and sinks his razor-sharp fangs into Jack's neck, drinking his blood in the process. It's not long before Jack has also died a horrible death. Jack's mother, Jenny, is waiting for him, and she is very worried. Harry? Kevin? Where's your brother? Do you know what time it is?
Mom, Jack spends pretty much all day, every day, with Julie. I bet right this minute now that he's probably still with her.
But this is the day when storms break loose from the foreboding skies and the whole town is engulfed with a plague of bats. Jack's grandmother is greatly frightened.
Looks like Dracula is back. He said that he would return, and that when he did, he'd be sure to drain each and every person of their life source.
What? What are you talking about, Mother? It hasn't been 100 years yet. Suddenly, Jack's mother falls silent as her gaze wanders slowly over to the calendar. It has been 100 years since Victor's incident. Where is Jack? Why hasn't he come home yet?
I told him not to come home. I was awful to him. The two used to meet daily in the old house near the forest, and I gave them a hard time about it. I was being so stupid.
What? That house belonged to Victor.
Everyone is running around in fear of their lives as Dracula's terror reigns over the poor town. Harry, realizing that his brother Jack didn't come home because of him, goes to the old house to find his brother Jack.
Jack, dude, listen. I'm sorry for whatever I said earlier. Can you please come home? Where are you, brother? Can you forgive me?
Then a beam of light comes from a bat's eyes as it senses Harry's presence. Dracula sees Harry. Dracula looks at Harry with a gleam of hunger and instantly starts trying to figure out a way to add Harry's blood to his menu for the night. He subdues the bats, and they fly outside and follow Harry. Harry runs to attempt to avoid them and ends up entering that same dreaded house, leading straight to the dungeon. He sees blood all around him. His heartbeat quickens, and he can't seem to catch his breath, for it is in this very moment he stumbles upon Julie and Jack's corpses.
Brother.
Dracula appears in front of him and he screams loudly. Dracula is approaching him. Then, at the same time, Jenny shows up unexpectedly. She's looking for Jack and Harry as well. She puts her cross, which is in her locket, on Dracula's forehead, and Dracula shudders with pain. But before he gasps his last, he sinks his teeth into Harry's neck before he dies. Jenny frees Harry from the Dracula's grip, and then Dracula transforms and flies away as a flock of sinister bats. Harry, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine, Mom. But Jack and Julie...
Both Jenny and Harry start crying from the loss of Jack and Julie. The next day, Harry is resting on the bed when he suddenly starts feeling strange. He opens his eyes and studies his reflection in a mirror. Harry's teeth start to turn fang-like. And at that moment, his younger brother Kevin enters. Harry started leering at him greedily. Just one look at his brother caused him to desire to consume his blood. Harry then swoops on him and begins drinking Kevin's blood. Once full, Harry jumped out of the bedroom window and returned to the same old and decrepit house. And once again, a new Dracula resides there to terrorize the village of Solemn. The end.
The Black-Eyed Demon. This story is from the 1980s. Kevin lived in Texas with his wife Rachel, his son James, and daughter Emma. It was winter, and the whole family returns home late at night.
Are we home yet, Daddy? I am very sleepy.
Don't bother Daddy, sweetie. He's driving.
Dearie, you can count until 10 and we'll probably be at home.
Emma starts to count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Kevin stopped the car as soon as she said 6.
Daddy, I haven't finished my counting yet.
There, standing in front of the car, is a shivering child, standing in the road.
You guys sit inside. I'll go find out what's going on.
Be careful, Kevin.
I will. You stay with the children.
Kevin goes to the child, who stands with his face lowered.
What happened, son? What is your name? And where are your mom and dad?
My name is John. My mom and dad told me to wait for them here. We are very poor. I have been standing since morning, and they did not come.
The child looks at Kevin. Kevin feels pity for him.
Let's go. You can come to our house today.
Kevin makes John sit in the car and tells Rachel everything.
But Kevin, how can we take someone else's child to our house? What if his parents come looking for him?
I don't know that, Rachel, but we can't just leave him here in the cold.
Kevin drives the car and everyone comes home. James and Emma are staring at John. John silently comes inside the house. As soon as he comes inside the house, he looks up at the chandelier. A devilish grin crosses his face. Kevin was standing directly below it.
James and Emma, this is John. And today you guys will share your room with him, okay?
Okay, Daddy.
James whispers to Emma.
He's really strange. Why is he just staring at the house?
I don't know, brother. Maybe he's never seen such a big house. Come on, John. Let's show you our room.
John, first come and eat something.
No, I'm not hungry.
John, Emma, and James go into the room.
Strange. He was alone on the road since morning and now saying he's not hungry. That doesn't seem right.
You too, Rachel? Come on, I'm very sleepy.
As Kevin and Rachel begin to leave, the hanging chandelier falls from the roof. They both get scared.
See? I said something is wrong.
Nothing's wrong. I'm fine. The screw must have just loosened in the chandelier. Thank God the children weren't around. Now, let's clean it up before the kids get into this mess.
Just then, John is looking at them both with his black, scary eyes, and goes away smiling. Emma cannot sleep. She is too excited.
Go to sleep, Emma. Why are you jumping?
Brother, tell me a story, will you? I'll sleep then.
Then John comes, looking normal.
Should I tell the story?
Emma and James look at John as he starts telling the story.
11 years ago, a woman named Helen came to this city. She was very poor and looking for work. One day, Helen meets a man named Peter. Peter was born with black eyes, and his family called him Satan. But Helen did not mind at all, and they fell in love. And after some time, they got married. They had a son a year later. Do you think he would be evil? Strange, bad events would happen whenever their family would visit somewhere. They were kicked out of towns and cities. Helen died of this shock. Even Peter could not bear the shock. He gave his son all his black powers to take revenge from the city. And then Peter also gave his life. Now, whenever that kid visits someone's home, chaos starts there. and now he is taking his family revenge from the entire city and will continue to do so.
Emma and James are listening to the story carefully, and they are scared.
Who was that child, John?
John looks at her and says nothing.
Now go to sleep, Emma. It's midnight.
Everyone falls asleep, and John's eyes open up. He has black eyes and a devilish smile on his face.
Now it's time for you guys to sleep forever.
Rachel wakes up, and then wakes up Kevin.
Wake up, Kevin. I can't sleep. An unknown child is in my children's bedroom.
Okay, let's see if everyone is asleep or not.
John pushes Emma and James off the bed.
What are you doing, John? Is this a time for a joke?
Emma starts crying. Kevin and Rachel rush to hear Emma's crying voice. As soon as they open the door, they are left speechless. James and Emma are crying badly.
Mommy, John has beaten us.
When Kevin and Rachel look at John, John's eyes turn black and he laughs out loud.
Calling me to your home, guys. You have called your doom. Now everything will be ruined in this house.
Kevin angrily runs towards John, but is suddenly overtaken by John's evil eyes. Kevin's eyes also turn black, and he picks up a knife.
Don't think, Kevin. Just obey.
Kevin angrily runs towards Rachel and attacks her. Rachel runs away with both children, but John comes in front of her.
Leave us alone. We helped you. Let us go.
Then Kevin stabs her in the back with the knife. He is still under the control of John. Kevin also kills James. Then John looks towards Kevin. John waves his hand and Kevin jumps off the roof of his house, and he too dies. John sneaks out of the house and makes Emma just like him. The next night, a man named Max was coming home from the office. Then he saw a child who is shivering.
What happened, dearie?
The child lifts her head and looks at him. She is Emma. After some time, Max starts walking to his house with Emma, and his eyes have also turned black. The end. Bigfoot. A team of 5 mountain climbers is sitting in a tent beside 2 trees, which is on a high, snow-capped hill. Icy winds were blowing outside. A bonfire is lit on one side. Wild animals are making sounds from the surrounding dense forest. They are all talking to each other.
It's been a full 15 days since we arrived here. So far, we haven't even seen the actual Yeti or even a footprint.
Yeah, we're all very desperate to see him. Who knows when we'll see him? At least we'll have Lily with us as bait. If Yeti sees her, then surely he'll abduct her.
She's gone with John. You're worried for nothing. No need to worry. They'll be back in a bit.
I will be back in a bit. Then we can proceed with our mission.
Okay, Joe, whatever you say.
The time passed, and now it was too late, but Joe did not return. Terrible sounds of the wild animals were coming all around them. All of Joe's colleagues were worried about him.
Where did he go? He should have been returned by now. Has he gone too far? Is there danger everywhere? I should check.
As James slipped out the tent, someone screamed in the distance. He listened attentively. It was certainly Joe's voice.
Help! Joe Gomez! Please come fast!
James was looking in the direction of the voice. He saw some bushes moving, and some heavy noises of chimpanzees could be heard loudly. Slowly, Joe's voice stopped yelling. James ran towards the woods looking for him. He couldn't see anyone. But he found a path leading to the mountain. Wild wolves were wandering around. He saw some big footprints. He started watching closely. They were footprints of someone's very, very big feet. Suddenly, James shouted out loudly, "Joe! Joe, where are you? Gomez! John! Come fast!" After a while, Gomez, as well as John and Lily, came running. "What's the matter, James? Why did you scream? Where is Joe?" "There's no trace of Joe. He came this way, and now I didn't know where he went. I heard his scream. Some bushes were also shaking here, and after that, I came here and nobody was here. Look at this, someone's long, large footprints. These are very big footprints. It might be the footprints of a Yeti. How could Joe have gotten himself into trouble?"
Yeah, that was my job. But he's funny. Do Yetis like funny guys?
"This is no time for jokes. We need to track him down. Let's go. Identify the footprints." They all stepped forward, looking at the footprints. It was snowing heavily. They came to the mountain. A lot of snow had accumulated. They were all calling out Joe's name. Their voices bounced off the mountain and echoed back. In the distance, they saw a long shadow near a pond. Some terrible, terrible sounds were coming from there. "Joe, Joe, 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 Joe,
Joe, where are you?
Look, there's Joe's pistol on the ground." Yes, that's Joe's pistol. That can't be good."
No, this can't be happening.
"Did you see any Yeti or any wild animal?" "No, I just saw bushes moving." Then Joe's scream. It was definitely Joe. One thing for sure, Joe's in deep trouble. Seeing the big footprints, one thing is understood. Joe has been carried off by a Yeti or some big creature. We have never seen any Yeti, but we've heard that they're very terrible. They have long legs and big paws. The claw marks we just saw were also quite large. It seems to me that Yeti's a very dangerous creature. He's taken one of our dear companions, and now that it's night, we should get back to our campfire, or we might be next. We can go look for Joe in the morning, once we can see better. God, watch out for Joe. This dark is terrifying. Let's turn back." Strong, icy winds started moving. John, James, Gomez, and Lily started their way back. Darkness was growing. Lily looked back towards the lake and saw once again the long, black, and hazy figure at some distance.
Poor Joe. Don't know in what condition he is. God, please protect him. We have to start searching for him tomorrow at first light, no matter what.
They all returned to their tents. Apart from the light of their tent, the whole darkness had spread around their sight. The sounds of some wild dogs were coming from far away. They were all missing their friend Joe, and sleep would not come. They were just too scared. John got up from the bed to pee and started going outside his tent. "Careful, John, don't go too far. Wait, I have to go. I will also come with you." "Thanks, my friend. I'm just gonna stay close to this tent. I won't be long. The Freddy Yeti won't get me."
Don't even speak that name that I just said. He's made one of our dear companions disappear. A short while later, John's voice yelled out,
Oh no! This is terrible!
John, what happened? Don't worry, I'm fine, but that poor lamb is very unfortunate. What happened to the lamb? That huge python swallowed it. Such a terrible python he is. First yetis, now pythons? There's danger all around here. They both hurried inside, and then the two started talking. John pulled out the brochure for his mountain hike. Look there in the fine, small print. It says there are pythons, yetis, wild dogs, and poisonous hummingbirds. What? This is like a death trap. Every animal is just trying to catch us and kill us. Come on, Lily, join us. Sounds like you're not asleep either.
Sleep is hard to find on a night like this. Look at James, tossing and turning in his sleep.
I'm not asleep, just waiting for dawn. We won't get good sleep until we find Joe. The four friends quietly talked as they waited for light outside. Not far away, a fierce chirping sound of a chimpanzee was heard near the bushes. There was also the sound of wild dogs. Bushes were shaking. Okay, be alert. No one goes out alone. Looks like Yeti is back again. That shadow behind the bushes. It would mean certain death to anyone who goes out there. Suddenly, a wild pig roared in pain and squealed abruptly to silence. Then, dozens of dogs howled in the distance, and the chimpanzee's terrible chatter re-emerged. Is that the voice of the Yeti? It has the same sound as a chimpanzee, but in a very high pitch. We have heard his voice, but it is not right to take a risk seeing him.
You're right. Going near him will be like to stare directly into the eyes of death.
After some time, there was utter silence everywhere. Early sun rays were touching the ground. These four friends came out. They reached the same bush and saw the same big footprints again. They continued their search for their partner Joe. They searched for him all around, but failed to find anything. They saw a native, elderly mountain man. John called him. Hello, old man. Please come here. Do you live nearby?
Yes, I have lived in this area for the last 65 years.
Have you ever seen any Yeti here?
To be honest, I've never seen him, but I've seen a lot of footprints. I heard about them in my grandmother's stories. I have heard that they are very horrible and mighty hungry. Perhaps that's why the one who has seen them does not live to tell the tale.
I've heard a lot about them too. I guess we should go. If you haven't seen him in 65 years, then there's no help for our friend, Joe. They searched for him all around. After some time, there was utter silence everywhere. Early sun rays were touching the ground. They searched for him all around, but failed to find anything. They continued their search for their partner Joe. They searched for him all around, but failed to find anything. Many people tell about the Yeti, but there's still no concrete evidence that has ever been found for him. Yeti is still a conundrum for humans. The end.
Tiki Tiki. This is the story from the year 1956. There was a city named Hokkaido in Japan. In that city, there was an area named Mororan. There was a college in Mororan, and in that college, a girl named Kitsu was studying. One day,
Kitsu came to college with her father's car. Her friends were very happy to see this.
What is the matter, Kitsu? Why did you bring a car today? Himari, my friend, today we will cruise around the city in a car and have a lot of fun.
That's great, Kitsu. It's high time we had some fun. We haven't had any fun lately. Yeah, you're right, Fuji. Today we'll travel the whole city by car and have a lot of fun. Okay, after the class is over, let's meet here and we'll take off. Nobody be late. No extra classes. Oh yeah, let's partay. See you after class.
Everyone returned to their classes. In the evening, when the college was over, Kitsu brought the car and everyone piled in. They drove all over the place.
Okay, guys, where to next? I'm running out of ideas.
Why don't we go to street number 13 today?
The friends exchanged glances and a few smiles.
You're right, Fuji. Let's go and see what it's like there.
What are you guys talking about? What's so special about Street 13? What are you talking about, Himari? You really don't know about street number 13? No, obviously not. I just moved here, remember? That's why I'm asking you guys. Fuji, you tell Himari.
20 years ago, a girl named Kashima Riko lived on that street. One day, some goons harassed her and cut her body in half. Since then, the upper part of her body keeps roaming that street, and as soon as anyone passes through that street, she kills them. She is known as Tiki Tiki in Muroran.
What? Why?
It's said that she's looking for her bottom half. Kills everyone wanting to take their legs as her own.
Meaning that she kills first and then cuts people's legs off and tries them on, and then when they don't fit, she's enraged and goes on to find her next victim.
Listening to Himari, everyone starts laughing.
So tell me, friends, are we going to street number 13, or should I take a U-turn?
Street number 13!
No, friends, let's not go today. I have to go home early today. Anyway, it's very late now.
What are you talking about? Today we got the opportunity to go there.
But I also really need to get home early today. We'll go again sometime. Anyway, that place is far away from here. Himari, we just gotta go today. I promise we won't return from there soon.
Yeah, come on. Agree on this.
Okay, fine. But we won't stay long. I love my legs so much.
Everyone started laughing at Himari. Kitsu sped up the car so they could get there sooner. And just as they approached Street 13, a woman appeared in front of them. She had white hair and looked very old. Kitsu stopped the car, and the woman came to the window, laughing. Everyone was shocked to see that woman.
Why are you going there?
Why did you walk out in front of our car? You want to get hurt or something?
Don't worry about me. You should be more concerned about your own lives. Get out of here, or none of you will survive. No one.
The woman left from there, warning them all. The four friends got upset for some time.
Very strange woman. Now I definitely want to know what this is in the street number 13. Let's speed up, Kitsu.
Kitsu sped up again and turned onto street number 13. They parked, and all got out. They were all looking at the street. No one lived on that street. All the homes were boarded up. The street was completely deserted, and there was nothing but street lights all around.
I don't see anyone here. I guess Kashima already knows our legs are the wrong size for her.
The other kids laughed at her comment. Before they could go back to their car, a knife flew through the air and stabbed Himari in her neck. Blood starts pouring out from Himari's throat, and she falls to the ground.
Himari! Who threw this? Himari!
Himari suffocates.
Seeing this, the other 3 friends were terrified.
We have to go to the hospital as soon as possible.
They started to hear a strange sound from up the street. When the 3 looked at the street, they saw 2 glowing eyes coming close to them. She was none other than Kashima. Half of her body was crawling towards those 4, but she was so fast. Kashima came to Kane and stabbed the knife into his shoe. Kane screamed badly. Run, everybody! We've got to get away from here!
Kitsu and Fuji started running, but Kashima grabbed Fuji's leg, and she bit into his leg. Fuji fell to the ground. Kitsu looked back, terrified and shaking. Kashima was attacking Fuji's body with her sharp teeth. Kitsu ran towards the car and started the car and drove it away quickly. Kashima saw Kitsu's car going. She too started pursuing Kitsu at high speed. Kitsu was sweating while sitting inside the car. Kashima jumped on the front glass of the car and broke the glass. Kitsu opened the glove box and took out a knife from it and attacked Kashima. But it did not have any effect on Kashima. She snatched Kitsu's knife and stabbed her with it. Kitsu also died. The next day, 2 policemen were passing through that place when they saw 4 bodies lying on the ground. 4 corpses were lying on the ground, their torsos cut off from their legs.
Surely this has been done by Kashima's ghost.
Don't know when people will understand how important it is for them to stay away from this place.
1 month after this incident, a man was passing by street number 13. He was already very scared.
I must be crazy going through here, but I've got to get to work. My boss told me this was a shortcut. I wish I'd checked a map first.
He stood in front of street number 13 and started looking around.
Oh no. Where do I go from here? I'm so lost. I'll walk down this street and see if anything looks familiar at the other end.
The man started going inside the street, and shortly thereafter came his loud shouts. After that accident, the government stopped coming around that street and put boards of no entry all around. The whole city did not pass through that place to avoid the havoc of street number 13 and Kashima.